my thrill on Blueberry Hill. Deck the halls with bells of holly, rocking around the Christmas tree. Have a happy holiday. Sleeping single in a double bed, thinking over things I wish I said. He played an ace and won a queen that made him king of my heart.
It's time for Fort Worth Musical Moments. Join us now as Steve Markwardt takes a look at the music and the artists who made the city's vibrant musical legacy what it is today. Well, welcome to another Fort Worth Musical Moments. I'm Brent Adams along with my buddy Steve Markwardt, and they say good things come to those who wait, and we thank you to everybody who was patient as we were working out some of our technical difficulties on the other end. Hey, we're up and running, ready to go here, and Steve, an exciting show today as we have somebody near and dear to the Fort Worth music scene and somebody who's done a tremendous amount of good for the independent music artists out there.
That's right, Brent. First of all, I don't know if my blood pressure's right for show business, Penny. Anything and everything go wrong usually does. But anyway, we're on the air and we're happy and just thrilled to have you, Penny Gilley, on the Fort Worth Musical Moments with us. So welcome.
Thank you, Steve, Brent. It's an honor and pleasure. You know me, I'm just the country girl and love talking the showbiz that I've been blessed with throughout my life. And I just appreciate you guys for keeping this stuff going and keeping music alive. And thanks for having me.
We are excited to do it. And first of all, congratulations on the success of your television show on RFD-TV. You've created some amazing opportunities for so many of our friends to showcase their talent on a national stage. And you've helped to add to the musical heritage of Fort Worth doing the show there at Little Red's Longhorn Saloon.
Yeah, it's been so amazing. You know, for many years, my show is almost 16 years running on RFD-TV. And for the first several years, you know, I was in the beautiful theaters, the perfect lighting, perfect sound, everything was gorgeous. And then I've moved my show to Fort Worth, to Little Red's Longhorn Saloon. You know, some people say they're little dives and honky tonks. And it's so funny. America has fallen in love with Little Red's Longhorn Saloon. They love the Texas vibe. They love honky tonk. They love the starched jeans, the boots, the cowboy hats, you name it.
I'm sure that Craig Copeland, the owner, is thrilled to death because it gives his place a lot of exposure and rightfully so. That's one of a true Texas honky tonk dance hall, and it's so much fun to be there. I will tell you this: I was privileged to be a part of the taping you did. You had a 2-day taping thing, and I had no idea what you guys were going through and how much you had on your plate. But I got worn out just watching you and Mike and your production crew, and including your daughter Daniela, running around. You're just trying to keep it was like herding cats. And I remember leaning over after my segment off the stage and saying, you guys are just going to crash and burn when this whole thing's over with. And Mike said, you have no idea.
Yeah. Steve, it's no one, you know, when you're watching TV, and I didn't know this too, I learned myself till I got into the business, and people have no clue what it takes just to get to this point, you know, on TV, on stage. But television's a whole new ball game, and there's a lot of stuff, a lot of technical stuff, just like today. You know, there's always something that can go wrong or, you know, just mess up. And that's just part of it. But it's a lot. It's a 2-day, actually it's 3-day marathon for me, because the first day we do the TV taping, it's set up, it's sound checks, it's rehearsals, blah, blah, blah. And then the next day I have about 12 to 13 hours, hair, makeup, just, you know, you just got to put on a smile and go for it and make hay while you can. The cameras are there and they're rolling.
And you were taping, how many shows a day were you trying to get on tape there?
We do at least 9 shows a day.
That's incredible. And you have to remember who you're talking to, because you do a little interview segment in between songs for the special guest star, and you remember who you're talking to, and so there's so much preparation work. When we're doing this little show, I thought when we first launched this, this will be fun and easy, and then real quickly I realized I need help. And then I asked Brent to come in, and so I can only imagine the preparation that it takes to get ready for those taping all of those shows in that little bit of time.
It's a lot. It takes me and Mike, and because we're a team, and I could not do what I do if it wasn't for Mike Stanglin, my husband, because he edits. He's the computer guru. He does all of that stuff. But yeah, it takes about 3 months just to lay out the shows, because we do, like this year, I'm doing 20 shows for the season, but it's always at least 18, 19. And it takes about 3 months to lay out the guests. And then, of course, I've got a DJ. I've got to take 108 songs and map them out, lay them out in order the way I want them. And not only that, when you have to have like 22 minutes of content in a 30-minute show, because the rest is commercials, because RFD has commercials, etc. So it has to be exactly, and that's where the genius part comes in as far as an editor, Mike and Jim Barnes. I mean, good grief, you've got to cut and paste and clip, and that's why I tell people, we can't have 4-minute songs. You got to have this, you got to have that. And it's a lot to it.
Your band is just stellar. I mean, those folks, are so professional, and they have to handle a lot of material, in a short amount of time. So, and they were doing, I know they did one of my original songs and just nailed it. And so I was so impressed with that, but also you've got the crowd there too. It's not like you've got a controlled environment in a studio, or, you're locking the rest of the world out. You got a crowd coming and going there. And there's a bar there too, so anything can happen, so that's a well-behaved people.
Yeah, anything can happen, but hey, luckily, we, if something crashes and burns, we can stop and start over, whatever. But Craig Copeland, is known as Little Red. He's thrilled to death. People, he say, they come into his club all the time. They're from California, they're from Florida, they're from New York. People that are coming to the stockyards, and they all go to Little Red's, and they'll walk in and they'll quote his little bit that he always says: if your wife or if your spouse drives you to drink, have them drive you to Little Red's Longhorn Saloon in the stockyards of Fort Worth, Texas. And he said they will come in and quote that to him and want to meet him. And it's a lot of fun. It's real cool. It's really special to tape there, because I feel right at home, and it has a really awesome vibe.
Well, I for one, Penny, I know a lot of people will echo. So grateful for you and your show, because it's so important for those of us that are still out there doing traditional country, Western swing. Because as you stated before, there's not a whole lot of that being played on mainstream radio, but I do believe that there's a growing tide popularity that we're creating, and it's because of shows like yours. Well,
we're just truly blessed, and I'm just so thankful that I can have the Steve Markwarts and all of these young and upcoming artists on the show, and just to shine their light and, just keep it going.
Well, thanks for saying young artist in my name in the same sentence.
You're young, Steve. You're young. Because I get so tickled, because I've had 13, 15-year-olds, 19, 20, they're all, young, and then all the way up, to, whatever. I tell people all the time, my show, I showcase the stars of yesteryear, the Mickey Gilleys, the Johnny Lees. I've had everybody from Andy Williams, Roy Clark, Ronnie Millsap, you name it. And also, you know, I love showcasing these young and upcoming artists, and it just means so much to get a little bit of encouragement and a pat on the back, because I remember being so young and getting that from people. It means a lot.
Absolutely.
So you've been a great representative of the Fort Worth music scene here, but your story really begins in a place that's kind of been a low-key hotbed of talent, West Monroe, Louisiana. Tell us a bit about growing up there and when you were introduced to music.
I was born and raised in Monroe, West Monroe, Louisiana. The Washita River separates Monroe and West Monroe. And I grew up there and grew up around a real musical family. You know, my mom, she played the piano, she played the accordion, the organ in church, and my daddy played the acoustic guitar. And so I grew up in a really awesome atmosphere growing up in a church. And by the time I was almost 15, I auditioned for it was a male quartet, and they were wanting to add a female to their group. And it was called the Louisianians, Bill Covington and the Louisianians. And I auditioned one weekend, and I made it, and I became in their group. And then for 3 years, we traveled all over the South, and we performed, you know, at churches, at big gospel singings, revivals, you name it. And it was such a special time in my life. And that Southern gospel, people really love it. They love the true gospel. And that's what I did. But my heart, you know, truly loved the good old country music. I tell everybody, I love what my mom and dad loved, which was very unusual for a teenager back then. But it stuck to my heart, and I vowed I would always keep it country, and I have. And I started just performing locally around in some little places and VFW halls, anywhere they would allow me to get up with them and just sit in and do a song. And that's how I just kind of all got started, right there in West Monroe. And there's a lot of talent that came from that area, from Louisiana and the West Monroe area. Everybody from Webb Pierce, you name it.
Right. Well, I understand an artist who made a big impression on you is one of our favorites here on the show, that old Texas troubadour, Ernest Tubb.
Oh my goodness, absolutely. Yes, I was, from the time I was in my gospel group, 15 to 17, I also was helping out a local radio station that played country music. And I was kind of did with promotion and stuff. And we had Ernest Tubb and the Texas Troubadours and a lot of country artists that came to Monroe to perform. And the first year I met several of the artists, I was calling the radio stations. I was helping them get their music played, their 45s. And then the second year, I was there standing out of the audience, and I was watching the show, and Ernest Tubb was on stage. And all of a sudden he made an announcement. He said, "I've got a really, really young lady here this evening." And he said, "She has a major passion for her music and good old country music." He said, "She's a little darling." And he said, "I want to bring her up here, and I want to get her to do a song for you guys." And
Wow.
I was so blown away. Guys, it was just, I was literally shaking. I went up on stage, and Ernest Tubb, he just kind of stepped aside over there. And I mean, the band, they said, "What do you want to sing?" And I said, "Oh my gosh, I love Loretta Lynn." And I said, "I'll just do You Ain't Woman Enough to Take My Man." And they took it away. And I'm telling you what a memory.
Wow. Well, and we should also note here today, a special day being the birthday of Loretta Lynn, and that's somebody you had a chance to meet along the way as well.
Absolutely. I always tell everybody, my daddy raised me on Loretta Lynn, and my mama raised me on Elvis, and there was some good stuff in between. And I fell in love with Loretta when I was so young, and watched The Coal Miner's Daughter and all that, and never dreamed that I would grow up and get to not only work with her but become a friend. And I did get to work with her up in South Dakota and several places at the casinos because I was playing them for years. And I got to open for her at some festivals. And she always had me on the bus. And we always got to visit and, talk. And one day her steel guitar player, he had called me and asked me to come to Nashville and get to spend some time with Loretta. And I got to spend in one day nearly 8 hours with Loretta Lynn. And she wouldn't let me leave the studio. We talked and visited, and it was great. She became a friend, and I truly love her. And happy heavenly birthday, Loretta.
As an artist, what did you take away from spending time around folks like Ernest Tubb and Loretta Lynn and watching them work that you were able to apply to your career?
Well, one thing I truly took to heart is they were hard workers. They worked really hard, but they were very, very passionate about their music and their fans. And that's why I've always said, they're not my fans, they're my friends. And when I started out in radio, really young, Larry Scott from KWKH in Shreveport, he told me, he says, Penny, you stay true to your fans and they will be with you forever. And he was so, so right. And I saw the way Loretta treated her fans and her people, and Ernest Tubb, and sitting out there to the last person leaves and signing autographs and taking pictures and hugs. And it was just, I don't know, it was just a realness. And they made you laugh. They could make you cry. And as my dad always said, Penny, you got two ways to get them. You either get them in the heart or you get them in the feet and get them up dancing. And so that's what it's about.
That's what Steve does.
Steve, hey.
We the music that we play, you judge how much the people like by the applause, people on the dance floor, right?
Oh, absolutely. That's what, because whenever I started playing, you would watch the crowd. I didn't play too many years in clubs because back when I was really getting started, the casinos, I got in on the ground floor with world-class talent, and I was able to get in. So I did a lot of casino stuff. But yeah, I always would watch the audience and stuff when I did play, and I would sometimes in the middle of a set list say, no, we're going to go this direction, and get them on the floor, get them here, get them there. It was just, that's just part of being an entertainer.
Absolutely. You had mentioned that you actually played the hayride, right?
I played the Louisiana Hayride when it came back the second time around. And I did get to play on that stage, and what a feeling that was. The very first time I was just like, I teared up to stand, on that municipal stage where Elvis Presley and, Hank Williams and everybody in the world, the greats performed, and what an honor that was. But yeah, I played the Louisiana Hayride the second go around, and I played the Shreveport area for about 8 years. And some other opera shows that they had there too. Yeah.
And another person you cited as one of your idols is Barbara Mandrell. How well do you know Barbara?
Oh my goodness, Loretta Lynn and Barbara Mandrell were my two biggest idols. That I love them. Barbara Mandrell, I just fell in love with her voice, her personality, her sweetness. And whenever, I met her the first time when I was around 24 years old. And I went to see her in concert. She was there at the Monroe Civic Center. And after the show, she was out there signing autographs, and I went up to her and we got a picture made. And I just told her I told her I was a country singer and how she really had influenced me, and I loved her. And I'll never forget this. She grabbed me by my hands And she laid her hands over on top of mine, and she looked me straight in the eye, and she says, Penny, she said, I can feel it and I can tell. She said, always remember this. She said, your gift is God's. God give you this gift, and your gift to him is what you do with it. And I'm telling you, it just stuck to my heart, and she was so precious. And then many years later, her husband called, and I could not believe it. He kept up with me and said, Barbara is retiring. This was 1997. Barbara's retiring from the road, and we would love for you to open for Barbara for her shows. So
Wow.
I went off to Salina, Kansas, and there was 7,000, 10,000 people in the audience. And oh my goodness. And Barbara and I made a pact. We were on the side of the stage when it all started. She said, okay, Penny, she said, now because we kind of dressed a lot alike, and the blonde hair. And she's like, if I wear a black suit or black outfit, you can wear white. But if I'm in white, you wear black or different color. We never wear the same, okay? And I said, you got it, Barbara. And I mean, she was precious. And I did like a 30-40 minute opener, and it was a highlight of my career.
So we have to clear one thing up, because I'm sure you're asked this constantly. Explain to our audience your connection to country music legend Mickey Gilley.
That I always tell everybody, I could retire if I had a dollar for every time someone asked me that. I love Mickey Gilley. Yes, Mickey Gilley would tell everyone that I was his daughter. And when he would bring me up on stage, or we were out together at his concerts and stuff, he would say, my daughter's here tonight, Penny Gilley. Everybody always assumed that he was my dad. But he's not. He was second cousin. I married into the Gilley family. But I'm telling you, and my girls, I have 3 daughters. They're all Gilleys. And I always would try to go into telling people he's like a second cousin. And then he would go, no, you're my daughter. End of story. So, but I loved him I really loved him like a dad. And he was so sweet. And what the real deal. Everyone loved Mickey Gilley, and man, he's so missed. But I love the fact he got to do what he did. Right up to the end of his life, he got to perform and sing, and oh gosh, what a treasure.
Well, he was a welcome guest on your show, and I want to share a clip from a performance you two did together on the show. And this is a medley of songs that shows how well you work together.
Oh, okay.
I don't love you anymore. To live a lie would be a sin. So release me and let me love again.
For I have found a new love, dear. Want him near. His lips are warm while yours are cold. Release me, my darling, let me go.
Listen to me. I didn't know God made honky-tonk angels. Well, I might have known never be my wife. You gave up the only one who ever loved you, and went back to the wild side of life.
It wasn't God who made honky-tonk angels. Too many times married men think they're single and have caused many a good girl to go wrong.
Don't be angry with me, darling, if I fail to understand all your little whims and wishes all the time. Just remember that I'm dumb, I guess, like any foolish man, and my head stays sort of foggy 'cause you're mine.
Well, I may say that I don't care, or hold my head up in the air, or even tell my friends I'm glad that you don't call. And when the day is through, my heartache starts anew. That's when I miss you most of all. J.D. Redmond. Crazy
Arms that reach to hold somebody new, and that yearning heart keeps saying you're not mine. This ain't no crazy dream, I know that it's real. You're someone else's love now, you're not mine. You're someone else's love now, you're not mine. All right.
That was country music right there, folks.
Wow.
So can everybody hear me?
Oh, I can hear you. I'm sorry. Taking a deep breath on that one.
I got you. I was afraid we were having more technical issues there for a moment.
Oh, no, it's so funny. And Steve's always talking about, showbiz and how things happen or whatever. Just like when we just did that duet, there was an era at the end on the Crazy Arms thing, and we just kind of went with it. It was, it is what it is, right?
Yeah, it's an improviser's world, isn't it?
Yes. Oh my goodness. But yeah, Mickey was on my show several times, even back in Branson. And yeah, he was such a treasure. And I'm just so thrilled that I did get to know him and be around him. And it was just, yeah, him and my husband, Mike, they were really, really close and loved spending time together. And yeah, I'm just very thankful. Yeah. So people out there will still call him my dad. I know they will, but yeah.
We'll just have to refer them back to this video here as it's archived here later, and they can go check it out for themselves.
Yes. No, because I was billed as his daughter, his niece, his sister. I was his wife. I've been everything. When you read about it, they go, "Oh no!" I'm like, "No, that's not right. That's not right." But oh well.
Well, you had a couple #1 singles on the independent country charts here in the States, and a few more on the European charts, and that led to touring in Europe, and that's huge because there's such a hunger for traditional country music in Europe. What was that experience like for you?
It was amazing. It was amazing, Brent. I tell you what. People overseas, they starved and they love country music like no other. I've never seen anything quite like it. When I would go, I had a couple #1 records, Cashbox and do some of the independent stuff back in the day. And I ended up with a guy that was able to book me overseas. And when I would go to those countries, literally, I mean, those people would line up for miles, and you had to deal with the country, whether it was Germany or Norway, Sweden, and they would line up to buy the artist CDs, and we literally had to ship them over there in ample cases. They would be lined up as far as you could see. The venue set the price for the CD amount or tape at that time, cassettes and stuff. And they would literally come through there and they would just pick up one of whatever you had. They wanted it all. It was crazy. And what I loved about performing over there was right in the middle of Norway, they would start screaming out America and how much they loved Americans and they loved the music. And it was crazy. They would literally wear chaps and stuff, and then they'd have these little guns, just play guns. And then when you would start singing something they would start popping these little guns, and it was so crazy. They were so into country music, and the bands and the musicians over there. I love the fact you could go over there and use one of their bands and they would learn it just like the record. I mean, if it was low end on the Telecaster, they nailed it. They were really, really in to true country music, and still are today. They love it.
Yeah, we're seeing a lot of that activity. We've got me as an artist and some of my fellow artists, the folks that share the Clarksville Creative Sound Legacy, have been asking if we're going to do like a tour over there, which I would love to do that. That would be fun. And so, yes, they're very passionate. And, like especially to hear their folk, and you really, that's where country came.
Oh, yeah. And I mean, it's just like, it's like John Wayne had already passed away. But those folks they're still into John Wayne and all this stuff. They were like, oh my God, he's still alive. I mean, they were like, okay. But they loved Buck Owens. They loved Hank Williams. They loved the old stuff. And that was so up my alley. And I mean, it was just amazing. I went to so many countries and performed for festivals. And it was because they didn't do a lot of civic centers and venues indoors. The summers were like crazy for festivals, and people would come from miles and miles out of the woodwork to these festivals. And they were really, really huge. And I mean, like you said, Steve, still this day, I hear people, they find me on YouTube, they find the RFD network, and I hear from people from Australia, Wales, and still Europe, how much they're loving the show and they love the good old country music. So as long as those people exist, we've got to keep going.
Well, there's such a demand for that, and Texas in and of itself is a huge brand in the eyes of that community. There's a mystique around Texas that's so strong today. And I remember interviewing Larry Hagman one time when I published a magazine back in years ago, and him telling me that every time he would go over to the UK, especially, they literally thought JR was a real person, and that he was, they couldn't separate the actor from the character, but it was all about Texas mystique and all the folklore that around that. And that's like Mary with CMA is saying Texas is the brand.
Oh, just absolutely. Absolutely. One of the things that's so funny is that you said that, because that happened to me several times when I was performing in South Korea, and people would go, oh, JR, we love JR. It's just like they thought like the show Dallas, JR Ewing, it was like real people. It's so funny. So funny.
There are a few people here in Fort Worth and probably other places, certainly out in West Texas, that would make JR look like a Boy Scout, I would imagine.
Well, now we're back there again with Yellowstone.
Yeah, there you go.
Absolutely. I'm loving it.
It so happens that Taylor Sheridan, and this is getting way off track, but so reel me in real quick. Taylor Sheridan is launching a new series starring Billy Bob Thornton, all about the oil business, and it's going to primarily here in Fort Worth. And a real good friend of ours is going to be the director for that whole thing. So we're excited about that.
Oh yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. Well, I know one thing, Fort Worth, Texas has never been so hot as it is now. I mean, it's you know, things kind of come and go and come in cycles and stuff, but wow, it's one popular place now, Fort Worth, Texas.
Well, I was talking to a friend of mine in Austin. He's in the tech world, and he was telling me, he goes, everybody says, you know, Austin, we call ourselves the live music capital of the world these days. He said, but it's more like the weird capital of the world. Fort Worth is where it's happening. And I said, thank you.
That's right. And I mean, I just live about 15, 20 minutes from there. So I'm right between Dallas and Fort Worth. And so I can be down there really quick, you know, at the last minute when I hear something exciting going on.
It's amazing what's transpired in the stockyards over the last 10 years or so. I mean, it's always been a pretty popular place. You go down there, I could go right now, we speak, and it be wall-to-wall people walking the streets. It's just an amazing, and of course, you know, all the beautiful hotels that they've built, and the live music coming out of just about every door. And so that leads me to your show, Penny. And when you tape that show, people need to understand the public is welcome, I presume. Tell me if I'm wrong.
No, you're exactly right. I open our TV taping to the public. And I don't charge, no cover charge. They can come and go as they please. Yeah, and come see the Penny Gilley show. We usually tape the end of January or the first part of February. I think we'll be taping again next year on the 5th and 6th of January. Yeah, so, and yeah, they can always find it on my website too, the dates and when, you know, when it's all taking place.
We'll try to stay on top of that and broadcast the information when we get closer to that. But yeah, I would encourage everyone to come to it's a lot of fun. It's really interesting, and at y'all's expense to watch what goes on behind the scenes, putting something like that together, just absolutely incredible. But even if you're not taping, everyone to go and support places like Craig Copeland's Little Red's Longhorn Saloon and all the other places that are playing real country music.
You got it, Steve. Oh, man.
Well, something else I want to make sure that we touch on when you talk about traveling, you also have had the honor since the early 1990s of being able to entertain our servicemen and women, both at home and abroad. And that was something that you can kind of attribute to the legendary General Norman Schwarzkopf.
That's right. In 1991, a friend of mine, we just wanted to say we're very patriotic and love our troops. And we wanted to come up with a song that would express how we felt about our soldiers and just say thanks. In 91, it was just starting the Desert Storm that was just all kind of coming about. And so I recorded this song that we came up with called The Line Drawn in the Sand. And I recorded it. I came over to Dallas and recorded it, and I sent it to Armed Force Radio and to, you know, Iraq and Afghanistan, that whole region, to the Armed Force Radio. And about 6 weeks later, I started getting letters from the soldiers thanking me for the song. They appreciated it. It was the sweetest thing. And one day I received a letter from General Schwarzkopf. And he says, Penny, I thought God bless the USA said it all until I heard the line drawn in the sand. Only heroes dare to cross the line drawn in the sand. And he said, would you be interested in performing for our biggest homecoming at Camp Pendleton at Oceanside, California? And oh my gosh, they sent me there. It was 120,000 people at this big homecoming. and they had the artillery, and they had everything there from the early on Desert Storm stuff. And I went, and I was the only country bumpkin there that got to headline with J. Edgar Winter and the Fabulous Thunderbirds and all these rock stars. And David Foster was the producer, and they took really good care of me. And then after that, General Schwarzkopf signed off on it, and I was off and running for 15 years around the world to entertain the troops.
Can you describe that feeling, what it was like to get up there on that stage in front of all those people, knowing kind of the gravity of what that meant and what their sacrifice means to us?
Unbelievable. I knew that I came from a very God-fearing, flag-loving, patriotic family, and my dad was in the Air Force, so I had great respect for our servicemen and women. But to go overseas, or to go to these places and to look into their eyes and to see the sacrifice, and to see them shed a tear and pull that wallet out of their jacket, or their, and show me that little baby, or that little baby girl or boy that they haven't seen in a year, and to know the sacrifice. But you know what? Out of all those years of entertaining our military, I never heard anyone say they regretted it. They always said it was their job. They loved their country, and they said, we're just here doing our job. And that's the way they were. And they were so appreciative of a little piece of home coming so far away to entertain them, and to bring them some smiles and some joy. And what an honor it was for me. Because back then everybody was like, why aren't you in Nashville? Why aren't you pursuing a record deal? Let me tell you, God had a plan for me, and that was to make my mark. And it was through the military, and to bring a little piece of home to our servicemen and women.
Well, we want to share this song that kind of kicked it all off. This is Line in the Sand.
They were there to fulfill their obligation, not knowing what the future had in store. They filled our hearts with pride and inspiration, made us love, oh glory, even more. They've come home to a mighty grateful nation that's proud that they stood so brave and strong. Let's not forget in all our jubilation to remember them when all the cheers are gone. Let's give a hand. Let's give a hand to every brave American who dared to cross the line drawn in the sand. Let's keep reminding everybody throughout this craving land, only heroes cross the line drawn in the sand. Our finest sons and daughters braved the storm. While we knelt and prayed, they stood so straight and tall. Now it's our turn to defend what they were fighting for, the freedom that lives inside us all. Let's give a hand. Let's give a hand to every brave American who dared to cross the line drawn in the sand. Let's keep reminding everybody throughout this craving land, only heroes cross
And General Schwarzkopf was right in his assessment of that song.
Wow. Yes, I thank you so much. I cannot believe, and do you know, guys, that I still hear from those soldiers and those troops today. I get emails, and they'll say, they'll find me on Facebook, Penny Gilley, and they'll find me here and there, and they'll go, "Oh, Penny Gilley, oh my gosh, we met in South Korea. We met in the Emirates, United Emirates. We met in Kosovo, wherever." And they said, they'll still send me pictures that they took with me over there, or they'll send me a picture of their autograph or something. It's just so sweet. And Barbara Mandrell was right. God gave me a gift, and it was how I used it. And I've been so blessed to be able to bring a little piece of home to our soldiers. And I love our veterans, and we just, we've got to support them with everything we've got.
Absolutely.
That song gave me bumps, Penny, and I can only imagine feeling you guys on the day it's to the servicemen and women when you were up there delivering the message, and I can imagine the end. I mean, just whenever I get goosebumps, I always say that's God reaching out and kind of touching me, reminding me that he's there. And it's like, sometimes it's like plugging into like 220 volts, and I can only imagine how many times that happened to you during that period when you were doing all of that. It's such a great ministry.
It really, really was. And, it was so awesome. There were times where in certain countries, when I went to Iraq and Afghanistan in 2002 and 3, it was just, we were in flak jackets and helmets, and there was one area that we were in outside of Bosnia, and they literally had a day. It was called Hate American Day. And I mean, it was very tense, but out of all those years, those soldiers said, "Miss Penny, don't ever worry. If something breaks out or something starts up, if you're over here, you'll be the first ones out of here. We'll promise we won't let anything happen." And they didn't, and I was over there with some pretty tense times out in the desert on flatbed trucks singing to our soldiers. And all of a sudden, hundreds of guys would grab their gun and take off running, and I would be going, "Oh my gosh, what's going on?" And different things was false alarms, this or that. But I saw a lot, I heard a lot, and it just makes me have the greatest respect, for them.
Isn't it funny that the people that hate America like that can't wait to get over here?
I'm telling you, I'm telling you what, going to all these places that I went to, I would literally almost kiss the ground when I got back to America. I was just so thrilled to be from a great country. And that's why, like never before, we have got to unite and keep God and keep it in our life, and stick together for what really matters. And I've been blessed, guys, just to be able to perform country music, take my music around the world. It's been so awesome. I tell people all the time, as an independent artist, I've had one heck of a career. Yeah, I didn't have the record deal, all that kind of stuff that a lot of the artists wanted, the big fame and fortune, but that's okay. I had what mattered. I made a mark, and just, that's good,
Well, the very thing that you and I, that we're doing right now, and the thing that you do, putting your show out there, is the freedom of speech is under attack. And so you're right, we have to stand up and let our voice be heard, because if we don't stand, as they say, we don't stand for that, then we fall for it, and so it's so important.
Absolutely. So it's, people still today, even, I'm older and, all this stuff, they go, "Oh, why didn't you do this? Why didn't you do this in Nashville and stuff?" I'm like, you know what? I had an opportunity. I did go to Nashville. I did get called in by 2 record labels. And, but you know what they told me? They said, wow, you're already selling quite a few records, because of the military, and, they were in the PXs and BXs and all that stuff. They loved the fact I already had a fan base, but they said, Penny, we appreciate you, but girl, you're just too country. And I loved it. They said I was just I was like 32 years old, and they said, you're a little too old and you're just a little too country for record deals, for the longevity and what they were going a little bit younger. And I said, hey, I appreciate y'all giving me the time and at least hearing my story. And I was happy after that. Just okay.
Well, and I believe one of the reasons why we created Clarksville Creative Sound, which is this is a great segue, is for independent artists like myself and folks that all of us that because those the major record labels are missing the mark big time, and so that's our mission, is to deliver really, really top quality music, real country music, real music, period, to the people that we know want to hear it. And we're determined to support the artists under our label. And I'm sure there are other labels doing the same thing. There's definitely enough room for all of us. And there's a whole bunch of people that would love to hear more of what artists like myself and like you and the artists you have on your show are doing. And so it's the opportunity is huge, and we see it. And so we are definitely, gearing up and going after that.
That's awesome. That's awesome, Steve. And it makes my heart proud, because I know how I can promise you, because I've been doing this a long time, but I'm telling you what, some of the greatest voices ever, well, I always said they'll never be heard. You don't have to. Yes, that's why being an independent and helping these artists and helping to get their voice out there, to get their name, that is so important. It's so important, because there is a lot of great talent out here, and that's what we got to do. We got to showcase it. We've got to, give people an opportunity, to do their thing, but I always tell people, regardless what happens, you just got to live your passion, and it's perseverance. This is a rocky road. Entertainment business is a rocky road. It's a roller coaster. There's the highs and there's the lows. And if you just really, really want to do it, and this is what you're destined to do, you just got to stick it out, hang tough, and just go for it.
It's not for the faint of heart, for sure. And like any other business, you only get out of it what you invest in it. And so we tell the artists under our label, as we're considering bringing them on board, that if you're willing to really get out there and work at it and invest your time, your energy, and
what he said.
Yeah, I mean, that's absolutely, you've got to invest your time and your energy, and just, and sometimes it's not for everybody. A lot of people, they start out in the business and then they find out real quick, whoo, no, this is a little bit too more than I want to take on. And, but it is what it is. But there's so much talent out there to be discovered and to be heard. And independent artists can do really, really well for themselves these days. Yep.
I apologize for that disappearing act. I'm not sure what happened there, but anyway.
That's showbiz.
Well, we talked a lot about the show, but we never really got into how the show came about. I've always been curious about that. How did the show come about?
Well, back in it was 2006. There was, shows on RFD-TV. It had just, the network hadn't been around for about 4 years. And my husband, Mike, we'd been hearing about RFD-TV, and he wrote an email and sent it to Patrick Gotch and told him about me. And within 30 minutes, we got an email back from Patrick, and Mike said, "Hey, we got an email from Patrick Gotch, and he would be interested in meeting you." And we were just so happened we were going in 3 weeks. We were going to Branson, Missouri, and so was Patrick. And so we had a meeting scheduled, and he sat right there, and he had already, I said, "Don't you want to see me perform?" He said, "I don't have to." He said, "I can see the passion in your eyes." And he said, "Would you come to Branson and perform?" And that's how it all got started. And my TV show debuted in 2007 in Branson.
And through that time, you have had a chance to connect with a lot of legendary artists, and a lot that I'm sure you looked up to as you were coming up through your career. What has that been like for you?
It was awesome. It was awesome. For me to be able to go sit down and do an interview and visit with Andy Williams, good grief. And it was so funny, but when the camera wasn't even rolling at the time too, we were sitting there talking, and I said, "Andy, I want to thank you." I said, "Because if it hadn't been for you, I may have never loved or got to know Donny Osmond as a kid, 14, 15 years old, because he was always on your Christmas specials." And we laughed, and it was just so great to visit with, Andy Williams, and oh my goodness, all those great artists, and to have the Ronnie Millsaps and the Mickey Gilleys and the Johnny Lees, and good grief, Buck Trent, all these people that I'd always been watching and seeing on TV and different things. Oh wow, there was so many of them.
Well, we talked about family earlier, and family's a big part, a big driver of the show for you.
Yeah, I could not do what I do. I've got the best support system in the whole wide world, and that's my husband, Mike Stanglin. They call him Mike Gilley. He gets the Gilley name too. But Mike Stanglin, that's my husband, and he is awesome on the computer, and he does video editing. He does closed captioning for a lot of the other shows too on RFD-TV. He's a busy guy, and he can do everything from the commercials, and he knows his stuff. And so he's my support, and he's been a tremendous amount of help. But I've got 3 beautiful daughters. My oldest daughter is on the show quite often, Daniela Gilley, and people call her Danny, and she's a sweetheart. She's in the medical field, very successful. She's a caregiver, but she loves to sing, and she's like her mom. She likes the good old country music, so she comes on. And I have twin daughters, and they're precious. One lives here in Texas. 2 daughters live here in Texas, and one still lives in West Monroe, Louisiana, and that's only about 4.5, 5 hours away. So we're back and forth. But yeah, I was blessed to have a beautiful family, and I've got grandkids, and I'm blessed.
I believe Danny's appearance on your show singing is coming up to be isn't it
Today?
Today?
Yeah, actually, the show comes on today at 2:30 Central and 7 p.m. tonight, prime time on RFD. So 2:30 and 7 o'clock tonight. And today's guest is Dr. Harry Anderson. And then my daughter, she's on there today too, and tonight.
She's a beautiful girl, and I got to meet her when we were at the taping there. She was the one going around making sure that all the legal stuff got tied up, which is so important, the waivers and all that kind of thing. And visit with her for a minute. Beautiful girl, and so I didn't hear her today because there's so much going on. I can't wait to tune into the show.
Yeah. She loves being around the country music vibe, and she can will it. She loves the old stuff, but she has fun too. And we get to do a lot together. And I've just got great friends, and all the people from Little Red's Longhorn Saloon, Craig and Jane, they're so supportive, and Bethany, the whole gang. and I thank Dr. Harry Anderson. He's been a great supporter of the Penny Gilley show. And, I've just been blessed to be surrounded with people like that. And, we just keep on keeping on. I keep thinking one of these days I'm going to retire from it all, but it's just not meant to be. As long as there's still people out there wanting to hear and see good old country music and hear it on TV or radio or whatever, we just got to keep it going. And so that's what we'll do.
Well, don't be in any big rush to do that, because not only are you providing a valuable service to everybody in independent music, but you also have a great voice yourself, and also a great entertainer. And before we get out of here, we want to share one more performance clip. This is your rendition of an old Flatt and Scruggs tune, which was co-written in part by Carl Butler, and was also recorded once upon a time by Ricky Skaggs. And this is Crying My Heart Out Over You, and this is a great rendition. I hope everybody enjoys this.
Oh, somewhere the music's playing soft and low. Another holds the one that I love so. I was blind, I could not see that you meant the world to me. But like a fool, I stood and watched you go. Now I'm crying my heart out over you. Those blue eyes now, they smile at someone new. Ever since you went away, I die a little more each day. And I'm crying my heart out over you. Play it, band. Stairs up to my room. It seems I hear you whispering in the gloom. I miss your picture on the wall and your footsteps in the hall. Now I'm crying my heart out over you. Yes, I'm crying my heart out over you. Those blue eyes now, they smile at someone new. Ever since you went away, I die a little more each day. And I'm crying my heart out over you. And I'm crying my heart out over you.
Keeping the fiddles and steel alive as they should be.
Absolutely.
I love it. Well, you talk about the potential of riding off into the sunset, but is there anything that's left on your career bucket list that you'd like to get into?
Ooh, get into. I tell you, I tell people all the time, pretty much this is all I've known my whole life. Pretty much is, I started singing when I was 9 years old, and it's just been the hugest part of my life, that in my family, my girls. I just, I'm always thinking outside of the box. That's one thing. I love the thought of, doing other things. I always kind of had an entrepreneur spirit, but I know I'll always keep it country, and we'll keep the music thing going. Absolutely, as long as we can. I would love to, I think, bucket list wise, I would love to probably sing a country tune on the stage of the Grand Ole Opry.
Mm.
I would love to do that. That's always been on my bucket list. I've been there. I've been backstage. I did a gospel thing there, but I've never ever sang a country song on the Grand Ole Opry. That would be one of the things I've never been able to do. Oh, geez. I don't know. I just know I'm just so thankful that I'm able to do what I can do, and I can be in people's living rooms every week, bring country music, bring these great artists to these living rooms, and to the people that are so starved for the good old classics. And I tell everybody, I used to just say, I sing country music. Well, these days I say I sing real country music. We do real country music on the Penny Gilley Show. And if we're not doing real country music, we do a little Elvis, little jitterbug, little fun stuff, but we keep it real. And I appreciate all the people out there that's listening or watching us today. I thank you for loving that music, because it's because of you that we get to do, Steve, what we do. And we just got to keep it going.
Absolutely, Penny. I want to invite you to come to Clarksville to check out the Clarksville Sound Studios. Let's go come in there and let's make some music together. A lot of the musicians that we bring in, these guys are the top session players. And a lot of these guys, including our fiddle player, Wanda Vick, she plays at the Opry just about every week. So perhaps get some of to you on stage at the Grand Ole Opry. I think you're way past due.
Oh, that's so sweet, Steve. Well, I appreciate it. Yes, I do want to make a plan. I do want to come to the studio there and just check it all out. You guys are doing great stuff. I know, just recently had Mackenzie McKetty on my show, and she loves you guys. And she, it's just, we just got to keep going. And let's just keep spreading the word, and we'll spread the word about, this special show that we're doing today. We just got to let, word of mouth, get it out there,
That's right. And I just can't tell you how happy I am to have become friends with you and Mike, and the support that y'all have given me as an artist and our fellow artists. And so, yes, I agree. Let's just keep it going. And, there's a lot of people out there that love what we do, and a lot of people that have yet to discover us, and will be happy when they do.
Okay. All right. Well, hey, we're a team, and hey, let's just all just keep it together and keep moving forward. And I just appreciate you guys. Appreciate you, Brent, Adams, and you, Steve, and for everything that y'all do,
Well, thank you. And I tell you, if folks want to watch you on RFD-TV, when can they do that? And also, if they want to follow your career, where can they go online and on social media to do that?
Absolutely. And I tell people that some people say, RFD, what is RFD? Back in Mayberry, Mayberry RFD, it's rural-free delivery, back before we even got mail to our regular places. But RFD is about agriculture, farming, ranching, and real country music, and real bluegrass, and all of the fun, the good stuff. So yeah, you can catch me every Friday at 2:30 Central and 7 p.m. Central every Friday night. You can catch the Penny Gilley Show, and you can also find out where I'm going to be performing, my schedule, the dates for the TV taping, things like that. I put on my website, which is www.pennygilley.com. It's real easy. I'm on Facebook, Penny Gilley, social media, the Penny Gilley Show on Instagram, LinkedIn, all that stuff. You can find me and find out the dates and times and all of that good stuff.
Excellent. Well, Penny, we want to thank you so much for taking the time to join us here today, and we can't wait to see you in person sometime soon.
Okay, I definitely look forward to it. Guys, thanks you so much for having me, and everybody out there watching. Love you. Keep it country, and we'll see you again.
I love it. Well, another big week, Steve. What's the latest with Clarksville Creative Sound?
Oh, Kurt's in the studio constantly working on some editing right now. I think we've got Evie Mays coming in June, and I'll be back up there, write some songs with her and Kurt, and I'll be finishing some recording up there. I'm not sure who else is coming through that studio. It's hard to keep up. I know Kurt stays really busy. The studio's in pretty big demand there. But I'm heading this weekend, as we speak, here in just a few hours. My brother Mike is swinging by to pick me up, so pray for me. Driving, but we're heading up to Oklahoma City, which is a suburb of Fort Worth, right? Up to Oklahoma City to the National Cowboy and Western Heritage Museum to take in the Western Heritage Awards, and we're going to see two of our really good friends and be kind of right there with them, receive some accolades there and some awards. Red Stegall and Michael Martin Murphy, we're going to be joining them up there and cheering them on. So I'm looking forward to that. It's a black tie event, so I had to dust off the old tuxedo, and so we're looking forward to that. So that'll be a fun deal up there. I'll try to capture some video and bring it back to you from those events. So.
Excellent. Well, we want to make mention of the fact that we've got another Road Stories with Kurt Ryle coming up this Monday, April 17th at 7 p.m. Central. It airs every other Monday, and you can go get plugged into the Kurt Ryle Road Stories Facebook page, also the Clarksville Creative Sound Facebook page, and make sure you stop by for those because they're always a good time, and he's always got plenty of stories to tell.
Absolutely. He does. There's from such a great career on the road with these guys and in the studio, no shortages of great stories there. And so Kurt's always a very good storyteller and very engaging, and a lot of interesting, funny things that went on. It's just you don't realize all the things that go on behind the scenes, especially. Anything can happen on a tour bus, and some of the things we probably don't want to talk about.
And I'm sure he was probably the instigator of a lot of those.
I imagine Kurt is a practical joker. No question about it. I've learned that the hard way.
Well, so make sure you stay tuned. 7 p.m. Central this coming Monday for the Kurt Ryle Road Stories. And I hope everybody will get plugged into this Fort Worth Musical Moments Facebook group if you haven't yet. Also, the Clarksville Creative Sound Facebook group and the Rural Strong Media Facebook page. We've got a lot going on here, a lot of moving pieces right now as we get into the spring and summer months, and a lot of fun stuff that's going to be happening. And the way to know about it all and to watch all these live streams is to follow that. I also want to invite you to check out Rural Strong Radio, which is our 24/7 streaming radio station found at ruralstrongmedia.com or on the Live 365 streaming radio app. It plays the best in traditional country music, Western swing, and bluegrass with a little Southern rock and inspirational as well. And we'd love for you to check that out. Again, you can find it at ruralstrongmedia.com or on the Live 365 streaming radio app. And on Sundays, beginning at 9 a.m. Central, we feature two great programs out of Texas. First, from Vidor to the World, it's Robbie Lynn with Sunday's Kind of Country. He plays 3 hours of great inspirational country music from legendary artists and independent as well. And a special thank you and shout out and congratulations to Robbie Lynn. This week marks the 28th anniversary of Sunday's Kind of Country. He's been doing it a long time. He's done it out of Nashville, and he's done it there out of Vidor, Texas. And just a real blessing, and it's grown like crazy. He's on TV with it. He's on the radio with it, and we are fortunate to have it every Sunday on Rural Strong Radio. So make sure you stop by at 9 a.m. Central for that. Hang around. After that, at noon Central, at 1 o'clock Eastern, is Billy Bowles Swingin' Country. I know Billy was on here a little bit earlier. He plays 2 great hours of Western swing and traditional country music. one of the torchbearers for that music, and we would love for you to check out Billy Bowles Swinging Country. 2 great shows starting at 9 a.m. Central, so make sure you come back for that. Well, I tell you what, Steve, it's time for us to get on out of here. And again, thank you to everybody who hung around and everybody who waited out our issues today. And we'll be back again next week at 10 a.m. Central with another episode.
Oklahoma's calling me, Brent.
Yes, it is. And I tell you what, hopefully you'll hear that song along the way down there. Another great song. Check into Real Strong Radio. You'll hear it there as well as a lot of Steve Markwardt music. The algorithms love him, so he'll be on there. Safe travels, and best to you and Mike, and also to Red and Michael Martin Murphy. That's great stuff there.
Well, thank you, and have a great weekend. And I want to remind everybody that these shows will be, you can watch the replays of these shows anytime. They'll be archived on the Facebook page, and eventually we're going to get them archived on the YouTube channel as well. But you can always go back and watch the show in its entirety.
Absolutely. So make sure you go do that. If you missed any part of it, we would love for you to check it out. So we will be back again next week, 10 a.m. Central, for more Fort Worth musical moments. Until then, keep riding tall in the saddle. Make it a great week, everybody. You've been watching Fort Worth Musical Moments, a production of Rural Strong Media and Clarksville Creative Sound, copyright 2023. Please join the Fort Worth Musical Moments Facebook group and join us each Friday at 10 a.m. Central as we introduce you to another key figure in Fort Worth's musical heritage.